As of today, CJNG remains one of the most powerful and dangerous cartels in the world. Their leader, Mencho, is believed to be hiding in Mexico's mountains, protected by an army of loyal gunmen. His capture would be a symbolic victory, but the organization he built may outlast him. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another deep dive into the shadowy world of organized crime. Today, we're peeling back the layers on one of the most violent, ruthless, and ambitious criminal groups in the world, the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, also known simply as the CJNG. This Mexican drug cartel has risen, in just over a decade, to become one of the most dominant, transnational criminal organizations, spreading violence across Mexico, infiltrating communities in the United States, and leaving behind a trail of destruction that law enforcement agencies are still struggling to contain. Over the next 2 hours, we will explore how the CJNG was born, the empire they built, the catastrophic damage they've inflicted on both Mexico and the United States, and the ongoing battle between this cartel and U.S. federal agencies, particularly the FBI and DEA. We will also discuss what strategies could actually work to stop them before their influence becomes completely entrenched in American society. So sit back, listen closely, and prepare to understand the grim reality of the CJNG's warpath. Led by a man named Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, CJNG quickly established itself as a force unlike anything Mexico had seen before. Unlike older cartels that relied heavily on bribery and backroom deals, CJNG fused brutal violence with a militarized approach to expansion. They weren't just drug traffickers, they were warlords. Within a few years, the CJNG had spread across Mexico, eliminating rivals with shocking brutality, and branding themselves as the four-letter cartel feared in every corner of the country. Their weapon of choice wasn't just guns and drugs, it was terror. Beheadings, mass executions, and public displays of violence became their calling card. And behind the bloodshed, a global business empire was being built. CJNG's rapid expansion wasn't just about controlling Mexican territory, it was about controlling the most lucrative market of all, the United States. For decades, the U.S. has been the #1 consumer of illegal narcotics. Cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and most recently, fentanyl all flow north across the border, and CJNG made it their mission to dominate that pipeline. Unlike some rival groups that focused narrowly on cocaine or marijuana, CJNG diversified. Their specialty became methamphetamine and fentanyl, cheap to produce, extremely addictive, and devastating in impact. By 2015, CJNG meth labs in Mexico were producing industrial-scale quantities of the drug, flooding U.S. cities from Los Angeles to Chicago to New York. But fentanyl was the true game changer. This synthetic opioid is 50 times stronger than heroin and incredibly cheap to make. CJNG's labs churned it out by the ton, pressing counterfeit pills designed to look like prescription painkillers. The result, a tidal wave of overdoses in the United States. Every single day, more than 150 Americans die from synthetic opioid overdoses, and CJNG's product is a major contributor to that staggering number. This is not just a crime problem, it's a public health crisis. Families are being torn apart, communities are drowning in addiction, and CJNG is profiting from every single pill. While Americans see the end result in the form of addiction and overdose, the true scale of CJNG's violence is often hidden south of the border. CJNG uses violence not only to control rival gangs, but also to intimidate entire communities. Towns in Mexico have been burned, police officers assassinated, and politicians gunned down, all to send a message. CJNG is in control. But the spillover is real. In U.S. cities, cartel-linked gangs are distributing drugs at the street level. Shootouts tied to CJNG distribution networks have occurred in places as far-flung as Atlanta, Houston, and Denver. American law enforcement officers have increasingly found themselves up against cartel-trained operatives carrying military-grade weapons. The damage is twofold: lives lost to violence and lives lost to drugs. To truly understand why CJNG is so hard to stop, we must understand their global reach. CJNG is not just a Mexican cartel, it's a multinational corporation. They move precursor chemicals from China, launder money through shell companies in Europe, and operate trafficking routes that stretch into South America, Africa, and Asia. Their structure is decentralized, making it hard for law enforcement to decapitate the organization. Kill one leader, and another rises, sees one shipment, and 5 more get through. This is not the old-school cartel model, it's a modern, network-based approach to organized crime. So, what is being done to stop them? The US government has designated CJNG as one of the top 5 transnational criminal organizations in the world. The D has placed El Mencho on its most wanted list, offering a multi-million-dollar reward for his capture. The FBI, working alongside Homeland Security investigations, has launched operations to identify cartel operatives in U.S. cities. Joint task forces have made high-profile arrests, seized drug shipments, and frozen millions of dollars in cartel assets. But despite these efforts, CJNG continues to thrive. Why? Because they adapt quickly, arrest one distributor, and 10 more pop up. Shut down one lab, and another is built. The sheer demand for drugs in the United States fuels their business. The truth is, the FBI and its partners cannot fight CJNG with arrests alone. If this battle is going to be won, it will require a multi-pronged strategy. First, international cooperation is essential. CJNG's networks cross borders, so law enforcement must do the same. Better intelligence sharing between Mexico, the US, and even Asian countries where chemicals are sourced is crucial. Second, financial warfare is the key. Cartels thrive on money. Cutting off their ability to launder profits through banks, shell companies, and crypto exchanges would cripple their operations far more effectively than street-level arrests. Third, demand must be addressed. As long as there is an enormous appetite for drugs in the US, CJNG will always have a market. This means real investment in addiction treatment, education, and prevention. Finally, communities on both sides of the border need protection. Ordinary families in Mexico are often caught between the cartel and the state. Supporting local law enforcement and reducing corruption is vital if the cycle of violence is to end. As of today, CJNG remains one of the most powerful and dangerous cartels in the world. Their leader, El Mencho, is believed to be hiding in Mexico's mountains, protected by an army of loyal gunmen. His capture would be a symbolic victory, but the organization he built may outlast him. Unless drastic changes are made, CJNG's grip on the drug trade will continue. More Americans will die from overdoses, more families will lose loved ones, more violence will spill across borders. But history shows us that even the mightiest cartels eventually fall. With enough coordination, pressure, and persistence, CJNG can be dismantled. The question is, will it happen before more lives are destroyed? The story of CJNG is not just about drugs, it is about power, money, and the devastating human cost of organized crime. It is about communities broken apart, governments tested to their limits, and law enforcement facing an enemy that never sleeps. The FBI and its allies have a long, difficult road ahead. But by understanding how CJNG operates, by cutting off their resources, and by addressing the demand that fuels their empire, there is hope. This has been an exploration of the cartel Jalisco Nueva Generation, one of the most brutal forces shaping our world today. Stay safe, stay aware, and until next time, thank you for listening.